Cook,
Present.
Ms. Mitchell.
Here.
All right, board members, we have about 8 or 9 policies we want to go through today. Section 300, but we want to go back to section 200 to make some changes for public participation and public comment. We added a person can only make one public comment per agenda item that is being voted on. And you'll see that in the blue underline. That's when you say blue underline, that means we're adding something. And then down here in the red that has a strike through, that was just written twice, so we're striking one section out. And that was the only change. So currently now, we do have the process where we can post the policies and get public comment. And the public can leave a comment online to a particular policy. Or they can come here and make a comment about a policy before we vote on it. So our policy states that you have to state your name and your address. What we've been getting online is a lot of anonymous. And after speaking with LSBA, they said if they say anonymous,
Can't use
and
it.
Ignore it.
yeah, we don't have to read it. We ignore it.
Okay, no.
So we get a lot of anonymous, and we don't know who it's coming from. So if we need to reach out to the person, we don't know who to address. So if a person did one online and put their name and address, and then tried to come to the meeting and do one, they can only do it one time. Can't do it twice. So that's the purpose of this. So we can get a motion, Ms. Bro, to accept that.
Can I have a motion?
I make a motion.
Second, please.
I second the motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. We had a motion and a second. Motion passed.
You just need to offer it for public.
Yeah.
Offer,
I didn't hear what he said.
offer to the public. Ain't nobody here.
Am I the public since I'm
What
not
did
on
he
this
say?
committee?
So when we get to second, we got offer the public for comment.
Oh, okay,
but we
that's
don't-
right. Okay, yeah. I'm sorry, let me bring that back. Do I have any comments from the public? No, because nobody's here. Okay, let's move on.
But you can comment, Mr. Creel.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to
I
comment.
was- yeah.
I was just curious.
Okay,
All right,
okay,
Roll call
motion
vote?
passed.
you gotta go vote.
Oh, okay, I'm
Roll
sorry.
call vote. Dr. Cook,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell,
Yes.
Ms. Bro.
Here, yes. No. sit right here. And
All right.
these will be supported.
The next one, ready, Mrs. Harry?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
The next one is, so we're going into policy 300s. It's dealing with the superintendent selection, 301.
Wait a minute.
Let me commit, board, just for reference. This is all new policies. Some of these policies may mirror our original policy manual, but that's fine. We're just covering it here, and we're not even trying to compare the word. It may say the same, but it might have different wording. So we just go stick with this one, and that makes sense.
Yes, sir.
So we won't have to go back and forth. The board shall select a superintendent in the manner prescribed by and subject to the requirements of state law and rule. The board may impose requirements for the position of superintendent which exceed the minimum requirements of state law. That's an addition to a policy.
Okay, so this strictly means that we have to accept what the state says, but if we want to add something, we're welcome to do that.
Yes. So I just need a motion.
Okay, can I get a motion?
I make the motion that we accept the policy, reference to.
A second?
Second.
Anybody in the public want to say anything? No. Okay, motion passed.
Okay. Roll call vote. Dr. Cook,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell,
Yes.
Ms. Bro.
Yes. Okay, then we're gonna move to the next one.
Yes, the next one is 302, superintendent evaluation. The board shall evaluate the superintendent's job performance as provided in the superintendent's contract and pursuant to state law and rule. The evaluation shall be during a properly noticed executive session of the board. Upon the superintendent's request, the evaluation shall occur in an open meeting.
Okay, we didn't do this the last time.
For my evaluation.
They
We
just
need to
handed
go
them
to
to us, we didn't meet
executive
on it or nothing.
Yeah, so moving forward, once we approve all of them,
Okay,
we'll
okay.
follow this.
This
Okay.
includes, this one includes it having an executive session.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's see, that's 302, yes, okay, can I get, a motion, please?
Make the motion that we accept policy 302, superintendent evaluation.
Can I get a
And I
second?
second it.
Thank you, and the motion passed. Okay,
Any- Ask the
okay,
audience.
I'm sorry, anyone in the public wanna speak on the motion? Okay, then, if not, the motion passed.
Roll call vote. Dr. Cook,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell,
Yes.
Ms. Rose.
Yes.
Ms. Bro, I apologize, but you're cutting out a little bit on me, so I just want to make sure you are just saying the words, offering to the public for comment before we vote.
Okay, all right, I don't wanna cut off on you. Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's much better, thank you.
Okay, thank you,
All right.
somewhere I needed you.
The next one, 303, Superintendent Authority. The superintendent shall have the duties and responsibilities provided by the state law and rule and board policy. As prescribed by law, the superintendent shall be the instructional leader of the district, be the chief executive officer of the district, be both the treasurer and secretary of the board, ensure the records of all business transacted in the district are kept in accordance with state law, ensure required reports, including student census data, are timely submitted to the State Department of Education, and have all hiring and placement authority of all school personnel.
Okay.
And that's it. This, derived from Act 1.
Okay. Do we need to get any comments from the board members themselves, or we just leave that out?
Board members can comment.
Okay. Any comments? Any comments from the public? If not, bring it back to the board. Okay, let's vote on this. Mhm.
I need a motion on it,
Okay,
on 303.
okay. Can I get a motion? Thank you, Basha.
Sure.
I make a motion.
Second.
I second that motion.
Okay, so the motion, the motion is passed.
Okay. Roll call vote. Dr. Cook,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell,
Yes.
Ms. Rose.
Yes.
All right, the next one is 30310. Pursuant to state law, the board hereby delegates to the superintendent the authority for the hiring and placement of all school personnel, including those for which state certification is required. The superintendent shall delegate to the principals of the various schools in the district to make the initial decision on the hiring or placement of all teachers and school personnel at the school which the principal is assigned. The superintendent shall approve or reject all hiring or placement decisions by the principal. All decisions by the superintendent shall be final.
I have something I need some clarification on.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I know you're over all the hiring,
Mhm.
but then it says here, the principal of the school shall make an initial decision on the hiring or placement of all teachers and school personnel at the school which the principal is assigned. So you can hire them, but you don't place them, you give the principal, the place them first, like if you hire a third grade teacher, or if you hired a teacher in elementary, then it would be the job of the principal to put that person where they want them.
No, the principal will basically do all the hiring for their school.
That's what I'm saying, I'm
Yeah.
talking about their school.
Yeah, and then they'll submit it to me, okay, these are who I wanna hire.
But you can approve or disapprove
I can
some of it.
approve or
That's why
disapprove.
I was talking about
Yeah.
individual schools.
Because I may see something, we may find out something that the principal's unaware of that may be detrimental or, harm the district, so I can stop that hire on that particular individual,
Okay,
if that's the case.
okay, I got you. Okay. Any
So we need a
comments from the
motion.
board?
I make a motion that we accept policy 303.10, superintendent hiring and placement authority.
Second, can I get a second?
I'm seconding.
Okay, anyone from the public like to say anything? Okay, if not, we'll bring it back to the board.
Roll call vote.
Okay,
Dr. Cook,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell,
Yes.
Ms. Rose.
yes,
All right, next one is principal authority, 304. Each school principal shall be appointed by and serve under the direction of the superintendent, serve as the administrative officer of the school to which they are assigned pursuant to state law and rule and board policy, hire, direct, and supervise the personnel of the school, direct and supervise the activities and administrative affairs of the school, maintain a school fund, make required reports to the superintendent, discipline students, and determine whether to begin each school day with a brief time of silent prayer or meditation, and a group recitation of the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
now again, Dr. Hurst, it says here, the superintendent shall approve or reject our hiring or placement. But it seems like to me, but the principal is the one that'll make the assignment first, is that right?
That's right.
Okay, I got you.
Principal will always make the assignment
And
first.
then it comes to you and you look it over and see if everything is okay.
Yes.
Any changes need to be made. Okay.
Under the item 3, it says hire.
Under what?
It says hire, is the principal allowed to hire before it's under your approval, right?
Where are you?
No, the principal will make the recommendations first.
Okay, all right.
And normally, in the typical case, these individuals that do get hired have been through our HR process, background check and everything, so we pretty much know,
Who they, yeah.
who they are once the principal makes a
This is
decision.
the word,
Yeah.
though, yeah, I understand that.
Oh, I have a question about the last bullet, where it says determine whether to begin each school day with a brief time of silent prayer or meditation and a group recitation of the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Are we currently doing that?
I know at the elementary schools, they do the Pledge of Allegiance. Because when I'm there in the morning, I do hear them get on the intercom and do the Pledge of Allegiance. High school, I'm not quite sure, somebody find out.
Okay.
But then they said a prayer too, right?
It says silent prayer.
Silent prayer,
Silent prayer.
Okay, well,
or just a moment of silence, or
Okay.
meditation, whatever you wanna call it.
okay.
But I think the recitation of the Pledge of Allegiance should be
For all of them.
Mandatory.
well, I don't like to use the word mandatory, but,
But
But
mandatory is what
everyone
you mean.
should do.
but that is what it means, you know, it,
Yeah, I think so too.
I
This,
think
this is our
you know,
country and
this is,
that's
that's
kind
what
of
I'm saying, this is
Uh-huh.
our country.
Right, I think that's so
And,
too.
you know, I have family that served in the military
I
and,
do too.
you know, gave the ultimate sacrifice. And, you know, the flag has always been important to me, personally. You know, and
And our
that's,
children should be taught.
you know, and
it's
that,
important.
you know, when I come up in school, you know, you had a morning prayer, you said the pledge, you sang, some kind of patriotic song at some point in time during the day, and, you know, and that's,
And you're right,
it's gone.
me too, but
Yeah.
what happened, Mr. Creel, is there was so many people who complained and they didn't want prayer in the school, or they had different religions, and, you know, it was just all kind of thing, but it used to be just like that until people just started, you know, complaining about it, and they didn't like it the way it was.
We all
Can't
became
Can't please
complacent,
everybody.
you know, to appease people with other opinions, and, to me,
So in the
that's,
policy, I know for, it can't be adult-led, it has to be student-led.
student-led,
So
yeah.
it doesn't say in the policy student-led, because I know at the football games, we use that the student lead the prayer. And at schools, it just say determine whether to begin each school day. So what you think, Matt?
Do they, at the schools, when they're at events, are they announcing that they're gonna do a prayer, or?
Most time they call it student, like at a football game, I know they call it student day. But they don't get a, usually we get an adult to be.
Well, we need some type of classroom protocol.
Well, during our time in school, but I'm a little older than you. But
Yeah.
anyway, what they did was it became automatic because when kids first started school, the teachers taught them that this is what we're gonna do when we start
Exactly.
class.
It was
So it was like,
routine.
yeah, you knew you had to do that before you start. But today, I don't know. I don't
They
know.
now-
got the law that,
yeah.
you know, can't be.
Now you have these different religions.
That's what I'm
and-
talking
and-
about.
And that's why now we have, you can't do, a certain, Baptist or,
We wanna make sure you want
Everybody
to
raw,
student led, or just leave it as
right.
what
So
they.
that's why they said do it
If they was to leave it.
silent
I
prayer.
think as long as we don't
meditation.
have an employee lead the prayer, we good.
Well,
Right.
But I'm saying,
and it,
do we need to?
basically,
put
it
in
doesn't
policy?
Only
say,
student-led prayer.
it doesn't say
But
anything
it's a
about,
policy, I mean, I know that's what they've been filing lawsuits on,
Yeah.
that,
but if
church
you,
and
if
state.
you just call time or whatever for a moment of silence,
I know what you're
Yeah.
saying, but can we do it, or can it had to be student?
Right, that's why I was asking about the person.
Student-led to be safe.
Clarification on it.
yeah, I would be okay with that for sure.
I know the football games, they do it, the adults don't do it anymore, the students come in and do it.
Well, I think anybody can do a moment of silence, employees, anyone.
Right.
But when it says we about to pray, it can't be an employee.
Right.
It has to be a
Right,
student. So do we need to
But
put
should
that
that
language?
That's what
be
I'm
put
asking,
in
is
the
that part of-
policy?
Have they
They need to
brought
put
that
that
up
in.
in the discussion, they may just over,
Yeah, we can add it, I mean, we
only.
can add in here what we like now, it ain't,
I think that
I
we
think-
should,
yeah.
so that'll eliminate that from
Right,
coming up.
right,
Let's just
so
go
we're-
and do it,
right.
you know, now.
In case somebody wants to
Because
get up
they
and
got
do it.
people gonna look for stuff, so.
But, and maybe I'm reading between the lines or being nitpicking, but, when you talk about, like Mr. Dorr says, it has to be student-led. I mean, when you get in the little kids, pre-K, first, second grade, if you're depending on, a teacher has to give direction.
Well, but you know what,
To-
those kids, I've dealt with that too as a principal. Those children learn those prayers, I mean, not those prayers, that pledge so
Oh, yeah.
quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Because they like saying it, and sometimes the teachers would assign certain students, everybody would get a chance. So, it might take a little while, maybe a week or so, but they gonna learn that pledge because they love it.
Oh, yeah.
Those kids love that, they really do.
so should we say for the last bullet, determine whether to begin each school day, cause it's saying the principal shall
Right.
determine whether to begin each school day with a brief, instead of say time of silent prayer, with a brief moment of silence.
Yeah, that sounds better.
So just if I can chime in my 2 cents, I'm looking at the statute that's referenced, and the statute itself is essentially a carve-out allowing for the prayer or meditation, so as not to be considered the mixing of the church and state. So the language of the statute does say, observe a brief time of silent prayer or meditation.
So you
So
said,
you're welcome to change the language if you like, but it does say prayer in the statute, so I mean, I think what this is intended to do is just mirror this particular statute.
so you recommend leave it as it is?
Yeah, I would, because I think it tracks the language of this particular statute, and now, based on the statute, if you have some silent prayer or meditation, either one of those, even if it's called prayer, it's not gonna be a conflict with the separation of church and state
Okay.
Okay.
under Louisiana law, so you don't risk any exposure, being sued or anything, even if it's called, silent prayer or meditation. You can call it a prayer, you're not at risk of mixing the two.
Okay. Thank you.
So I would probably leave it, if it would be my 2 cents, if it's asked for.
So but when we make sure when we have events, they have to be student-led, like the football game, when they actually get up and pray.
Correct. I don't see any statute that talks about, student-led stuff. I'll look, but, no, I wouldn't add that in there
No, I
without
don't wanna
running
add,
by
I'm just saying-
LSBA. It's just my thought.
To keep exposure not on us, I know they've been doing it at the football game, they always, the students praying now. And that came from that law. But I think
Yeah.
we've been good, we hadn't had anybody come. But you never know.
We'll leave it as is. Leave it as is?
I would.
Alright. Alright, we get a motion.
Okay,
No, motion first.
Oh.
Did we get a motion?
No, we didn't get a motion.
Need a motion.
can I get a motion?
Make a motion that we accept policy 304, principal's authority.
A second?
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. Okay, is there anyone in the public that would like to, comment on this? If not, we'll bring it back to the board.
Okay, roll call vote. Dr. Cook?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. Rose?
Here, I mean, yes.
Alright, next policy, 305, school census. Each principal in the district shall submit the required data regarding student enrollment to the superintendent or their designee to facilitate compliance with federal and state law and rule. The superintendent shall ensure that the student enrollment data provided is properly submitted to LDOE and any other agency or office to which it is required. In the event there is a conflict between the LDOE and the district in regard to student enrollment data, the superintendent shall ensure that the conflict is resolved.
I need to go back to that other, I'm with you on this one too, but I know that, on that Pledge of Allegiance, they have groups of people who don't believe in that either. And so they just, cause the reason I know is because when they have like graduation, those who don't believe in that, they don't stand, they don't do anything, but we're just gonna leave it like that, just leave it
Yeah,
like that.
we not gonna
Okay.
make nobody stand or
No,
make
we
'em-
can't, but I wanted them to know that you can't make them stand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, let's go on.
Voluntary participation.
Alright,
Okay, which one?
we in 305. I just, it was about the school census data
Mm-hmm,
and tracking and reporting to the state. I just read all three,
yeah.
so, need a motion.
Okay, can I get a motion, for policy, 305, please?
Make the motion that we accept policy 305, school census.
And I second.
I have a motion and a second. Okay, is there anyone from the public who would like to comment on this? If not, I'll bring it back to the public. Okay, we need a roll call.
Roll
vote.
call vote. Dr. Cook?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. Rose?
Here, yes.
Alright, the next one is 306, school calendar. By April 30th of each year, the superintendent shall submit a proposed calendar for the succeeding school year to the board for consideration. The calendar adopted by the board shall comply with the requirements of law, rule, and board policy. The calendar shall include dates for the start and end of the school year, staff-only work days, the start and end of grading periods, holidays, and students' early dismissal. When necessitated, the superintendent may submit an adjusted school calendar to the board for approval. The adjusted calendar shall remain within the minimum instructional minute requirements provided by state law unless otherwise approved by Bessie.
Any comment? If not, can I get a motion?
Motion.
Make the motion that we accept policy 306, school calendar.
Second.
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Anybody in the public wish to comment on this?
Yeah, Renika Watkins, 707 Mississippi Avenue. So the current policy is by spring, and this puts in by April 30th. But that is not really clear. That gives you the ability to submit a calendar anytime during the year. So the last 2 years, you did it in February and you did it in March. Why not say a specific date or a specific meeting? Because right now, it's just, it could come up anytime on the agenda, and the public wouldn't know that you're going to vote it specifically in a time frame.
Well, one thing is that, the calendar, the reason they give you to April the 30th, because that depends on what's going on during the school year. You know, sometimes we have bad weather, we have this and we have that, and so it just gives, and they give you a deadline, you have to have it by that date but you could have it prior to that date if you feel the need to.
But the last 2 years in watching it being voted in 2 different months, the public couldn't plan. It just randomly
What do you
came out.
mean- what you mean they couldn't plan?
In last school year, the calendar was randomly voted in February.
Okay.
This year, it was voted in March, but neither one of those came with any notice to the public in like the previous month that the calendar was going to be voted. So since it just had to be done by the spring, it was just randomly picked. So right now, it just has to be done by April 30th. That could happen in February, that could happen in March, but the public's not notified when you're going to take that vote until the vote happens.
Well, I thought that, don't we, put up, let them know when we're gonna have the meeting?
It varies, board members, it varies by school district. I've seen school districts do it in November. I've seen them do it in December, January, February. I've seen them do it in the summer for the next 2 years. So long as it's done by the 30th, and we do notice to the public that this is coming to the, board meeting to be voted upon, we're following,
So-
school law. So it doesn't have to be January every month. It doesn't have to be February every month, every year. As long as it's done by April 30th, board, then we're within the guidelines.
To that explanation, can you add language that 30 days notice will be given to the public prior to the vote?
No, because it doesn't tell us that that's what we have to do. The state, they don't demand that.
No, I'm asking.
Oh, okay.
I'm asking.
Well, we
Could-
can add what we wanna add, but, it's not a requirement.
that is the ask. Can you add that the superintendent provide 30 days notice prior to the vote? Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, let's move on.
Roll call vote. Dr. Cook,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell,
Yes.
Ms. Brooks.
Here.
Did you vote to add the 30 days?
No, we didn't.
The next one is.
It doesn't mean we not, but we didn't right this minute. We're gonna have to have some discussion on that.
Moving to the next, you ready, Ms. Rowland, next policy?
Yes, sir.
30610, when recommending the school calendar to the board, the superintendent shall also recommend a typical school day for each school in the district. The superintendent shall recommend a school day that ensures students are receiving required instructional minutes, includes other times such as recess and planning time mandated by state law or Bessie rule, allows safe and orderly transitions of students, includes an adequate lunch period, makes the most efficient use of board resources. Policy 30610.
Yes, any comments from the board? If not, can I have a motion?
Make the motion that we accept policy 306.10, school
Second.
days.
I second.
Okay, it's the motion is second. Do we have any comments from the public?
Renika Watkins, quick question. Is this in addition to what already happens? Because right now, when the calendar is voted, there was no discussion about the school day. It strictly was a vote on the calendar. So this is a new policy?
What's the new?
306, school day. The current policy doesn't address that the school day will be discussed. It was no discussion this year when the calendar was voted.
This will be a new policy once voted upon by the full board.
Okay, so this is a policy that doesn't already exist.
This will be a new policy once voted upon by the full board.
Ms. Bro, would this be a new policy for one that does not already exist?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, let's bring it back to the board.
Roll call vote. Dr. Cook,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell,
Yes.
Ms. Brooks.
Yes. Okay, the motion passed.
All right.
Let's move on, Dr. Hirsch, next one.
306, policy 30620, emergency closures. This gives the closure authority to the superintendent, may close the schools and offices, district in case of emergency that threatens the well-being of the students, staff, or school property. The decision to close schools shall be made by the superintendent after conferring with administrative feasible with the board and other leaders of the community, public safety agencies. Notification, the superintendent shall develop regulations to provide for timely notification of an emergency school closure to each board member, parent, student, staff, and public. The regulations shall prescribe the method to be used for each stakeholder group, the priority or notification for each group, alternative notification methods in certain electronic modes are disrupted. Such notifications shall be timely and ensure the orderly transition of students and staff from each school. Superintendent shall ensure regular communication with students and staff during a period of prolonged school closure. Essential personnel, the superintendent shall determine which employees are essential personnel who will be required to be available in person or virtually as determined by the superintendent during the emergency school closure. Closure impacting required instructional minutes. If an emergency closure prevents students from meeting the required instructional minutes for the school year, the board may amend the school calendar by adding days to the school calendar, removing holidays, or amend the school day. In extreme circumstances, the board may request a waiver from the instructional minute requirements from Bessie.
Okay, you have any, comments on policy 306-20?
Yes, one concerning the superintendent should determine which employees are essential. How would you determine?
I didn't hear you.
The superintendent should, the line that says superintendent shall determine which employee is essential personnel.
Well, I tell you the way it used to be, I don't know now, like custodians would have to always be on call, and they would be the ones that would go out and check the school. Certain people would have to be on call, you know. A supervisor and stuff would also have to be on call too, in case, you know, something happened and the superintendent wanted to meet with them or whatever. So it just all depends on the school and the needs of the school.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Can I get a motion?
I make the motion that we accept policy 306.20, emergency closure.
Can I get a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Anyone in the public wish to speak?
What's the current policy
The current policy on what?
for emergency closures?
Well, it's actually, it depends on what the emergency is, but the superintendent will get together with the board and make a decision. Now, if it's an emergency and he doesn't have time, like it's the end of the day and we gotta have this done because the kids, it's unsafe for the kids to come back, he makes a decision. The ultimate decision is his, but we'll have to determine that based on the situation.
Can I get the current policy number and the current policy guide, the policy letter?
It's online, on caps. It's in caps, the original policy's in caps.
So we don't know what the current policy is, but we are wiping something out, adding something new. What's the comparison of this one to the old one?
Now, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be different. It could be, but it doesn't necessarily have to be different. It's left up to us. We can leave it just like it is, add something or change something.
Well, that's why I'm asking, what's the current one? Because there's no discussion, like, right now.
Well, I told you that it's just gonna depend on the emergency.
Yes, ma'am. So where in the policy are we discussing right now, the current policy?
Like,
You know what I'm saying? If it depends on the emergency and it's documented that way, where in the current policy is it documented? Because I didn't see it.
Well,
Dr.
we-
Hurst
well, we-
said it's on,
after taking guides from LSBA, what they suggested was take our old policy and just focus on a new policy. And some of these things may mirror what's in our old policy, but to say just focus on the new and start with a fresh new policy manual, go through each one by one. So, but our current policy manual is still online, until we approve this,
So
the
we
board
don't
members.
know what the current policy is.
he says it's online, so.
But the point is that if we already have a policy and you're recommending a new policy, the question that I have put to the board is, what is the current policy? Because Dr. Cook's question was, who, what, when, and where. In this policy, I wanna know what this board knows about the current policy that is in place, that is.
Well,
in
I told you
effect.
what I knew.
Yes, ma'am. Your other voting members. You got other voting members. Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's bring it back to the board.
Roll call vote, Dr. Cook,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell,
Yes.
Ms. Brooks.
Yes. Policies passed. Dr. Hurst, let's move on.
Policy 307, school concerns and complaints. The parent of a student may direct concerns or complaints related to a teacher, school employee, or school-specific policy, practice, or incident to the principal of the school by emailing the principal at the email address provided on the school's website, or may appear in person at the school and fill out a concern complaint form at the school. The name of the principal, physical address of the school, and the telephone number shall be available at the school's website. District concerns and complaints. The parent of a student may direct concerns or complaints related to the school district personnel, or school principal to the superintendent by emailing the superintendent at the email address provided on the district's website, or may appear in person at the board office and fill out a concern and complaint form. The name of the superintendent, physical address of the board office, and telephone number of the school district central office shall be available on the district's website. Board concerns. The parent of a student may direct concerns or complaints related to the superintendent, a board member, or a board action to the board president by emailing the president at the email provided on the district's website, or may appear in person at the board office and fill out a concern complaint form. The name of the president, physical address of the board's office, and the telephone number of the school district central office shall be available on the district website. In the event the concern or complaint deals with a personnel issue, a copy of the concern or complaint shall be forwarded to the superintendent. Investigation. The appropriate person receiving the complaint or concern, or their designee, shall investigate the concern or complaint. The investigation reveals that the concern or complaint has validity, then the person conducting the investigation shall, to the extent of their authority, take remedial or corrective action when necessary, refer the findings to the superintendents for action. Notification of the findings. The person lodging the concern or complaint shall be notified in writing, which may be through email, that either the investigation has resulted in the determination that the complaint was valid, or that the investigation determined that there was no violation of law, rule, policy, regulation, or procedure. Appeal of findings. A determination by a principal may be appealed to the superintendent. A determination by the superintendent may be appealed to the board. All reversals shall be based on the determination of facts. Neither the superintendent nor the board may reverse a determination on appeal if such outside the authority provided by law or policy. Limitation. Nothing herein shall supersede any provisions of the personnel manual of the district.
Comments from the board? Okay, well, can I get a motion?
Make a motion of policy 307, public concerns, complaints, and general investigation.
We have a motion, can I get a second?
I second it.
Okay, we have a second, motion passed. Do we have any comments from the public?
Question, is this going to require you to create a district concerns and complaints form? One doesn't currently exist.
Oh, yeah, well, we had a complaint.
We had that, Ms. Harris, at the front office, front desk?
Yes, sir. So that's at the front desk, but I know parents have made complaints at the school, they didn't get one. They just wrote it down in a notebook or did something else. So is that gonna be a district-wide policy that'll be disseminated to the schools?
We'll make sure everything's in place.
Thank you.
Okay, let's bring it back to the board. Can we get a vote?
Roll call vote. Dr. Cook?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. Rhodes?
Yes. Motion passed. Dr. Hurst?
All right, 308, public records. This is the last one, Basha?
Yes, sir.
The superintendent shall ensure that all record of all transactions and proceedings of the board, including minutes, are maintained and made available in accordance with state law. Retention and access to documents and records of the district, including those of each school in the district, shall be governed in accordance with federal and state law and rule. Public records retention schedule. Superintendent shall propose and the board shall approve a public records retention schedule. Prior to the final adoption of the schedule, it shall be presented to and approved by the state archivist. The current approved retention schedule can be found at the following link. And of course, we will insert a link here, and we do have one that's already approved. Access to public records. The superintendent or designee shall be the custodian of district records. The principal of each school or designee shall be considered the custodian of records of their school. The custodian shall ensure that each person who provides access to public records is familiar with the applicable laws on public records and understands the process to obtain clarity when questions arise as to whether a record is a public record. All documents exempted from public records such as building schematics, certain personnel records, and certain surveillance and security videos are prohibited from being accessed. Access to personnel files complies with state law and board policy, including notification of the employee. Request for public records. Any person seeking to review or copy public records shall submit the request in writing and clearly state the specific records desired. The custodian shall retain a copy of the written request as provided for the retention schedule. Readily available public records shall be provided upon request and may be examined in a designated area within the office of the board or the school. Persons shall be allowed to make copies of the material being reviewed through the use of their own personal electronic device unless copyrighted or otherwise prohibited by law. Requests that involve gathering records, research, or copying of numerous pages shall be provided within 15 days. Fee schedule. The board shall approve a fee schedule for copies of public records, including those provided by paper or electronically by email, fax, or mobile storage device. The current approved fee schedule can be accessed at the following link. We will create a fee schedule later. We're looking at some right now that other districts are using. Prepayment shall be requested prior to making the copies. The copy charge may be waived in the event that the request is 5 or fewer pages and can be accomplished within the ordinary scope of an employee's business day. If the volume of requested documents is larger than 100, the record shall only be provided via a mobile storage device obtained from the district. Under no circumstances will a mobile storage device be used in the district hardware that is not purchased from the district. Charges for both storage device and each page of copy shall be charged. Public notification. The website of the district and the schools in the district shall provide the name and contact information for the custodian of records, the method to make public records requests, and the fee schedule for obtaining a copy of a public record. The fee schedule shall be posted in each location where public records may be accessed or reviewed.
Any comments from the board? If not, can we get a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to accept policy 308, public records.
Second.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Okay, anyone from the public wish to comment? Question I asked is about all these 15 calendar days or 15 business days? Because you guys aren't open on a Friday.
Usually it's 15 business days. Within the ordinary scope of employee business days, your business days.
All right, thank you.
All right, let's bring it back to the budget.
Roll call vote, Dr. Cook,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell,
Yes.
Ms. Brooks.
Yes. Motion carries.
That's it.
Okay, that ends our, meeting for today. I'll bring it back up to the superintendent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll meet back at 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
We have a presentation coming in from Mattoon.
Right.